me get this straight. Put the lime in the coconut.
So, Dr. Tammy, why call it the Naked Doctor?
Well, it's the naked truth about health, wellness, and lifestyle, but it's also fun not to wear clothes in the studio.
Hi, welcome to Naked Doctor this week. This is Dr. Tammy.
And this is Cryssie.
And we are talking in the studio this week with Lisa Lynn. We are very excited to have her. And usually we do our little intro, but we just kind of brought her on in today. We had some technical difficulties.
Right, so we're going to take a group breath for a moment. Everybody take a nice deep breath. Everything is fine. No stress.
Welcome, Lisa.
Great show.
Hello.
Yay.
Boy, what a crazy start.
I know.
I'm very excited. I just want to share a little bit. I first heard of Lisa through my husband, who just really speaks very highly of her. As I've kind of looked and done my research about her, I have a little bio here. And Lisa, you've been just a busy girl for like 30 years, and you don't even look 30 from your pictures, which is crazy. But I know you've devoted your career to personal training, and you've even trained Martha Stewart, which is sort of a celebrity kind of thing.
Yes, that's nice.
And you're a celebrity in your own right, been on Dr. Oz and many, many other shows. Written several books, and I'm going to let you talk a little bit about that too. But the Metabolism Solution, I was just glued to, and since I do a lot with metabolism with my patients, that was just such great information. So thank you for putting yourself out there and sharing this information.
Wonderful.
And for being here this week.
Yes.
So.
No, thank you for having me, by the way. And I'm passionate about helping people avoid the pitfalls that I fell in.
Yeah. So a little bit about your story. What made you so passionate about getting excited about helping people with their metabolism and training? And
I struggled with my weight my entire life, like since I was a little kid, addicted to sugar. I have a picture in the beginning of the book of me in the refrigerator with icing all over my face before I even knew what food addiction was.
Oh, my gosh.
People look at me now and they don't believe it. Neither do I. But I really struggled with food my whole life. And then when my parents went to a divorce, and I come from two alcoholic parents, which I do believe hardwires us to be a certain way. Mm-hmm. Thanks to Brian Post, taught me so much about that. And also how, it hardwires us a certain way. Then we get dysregulated or emotional about things, and it's the perfect storm for a food addiction. And then I switched over to healthy eating, vegan, macrobiotic, you name it, I did it. But nobody really ever said to me, how much food are you eating? So I really struggled across the board. I did my best to keep trying to do better. Little did I know that even some of the things I thought that I was doing right were really wreaking havoc on my metabolism, because I'm hypothyroid, but also feeding my sugar craving just in a little longer route, like all these special organic grains that cost $1 million. And then I started to do some work in the lab, which really taught me everything that I knew about metabolism and how to exercise if you have a sluggish metabolism, because it's not all created equal. So I felt the need to write a book to help people, and self-publish, by the way. I had an offer on the table that I walked away from because I really wanted to tell the truth in this book and not, Chiquita Banana sponsored the place that was going to give me an advance, and so I couldn't say to people, that might not be your best choice for a fruit if you have a
Chiquita Banana.
Oh, my gosh. I'm really proud of you for sticking to that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I have to say, I scratch my head a couple of times a day and go, what were you thinking? But I fell in every hole, bought every supplement, and said, I think I owe it to people to figure out what I've learned and tell them the truth, because you know all the books out there and all the things people say. I lead from integrity in a place that I've been there. I know what it feels like.
Well,
oh my gosh, that's a perfect fit with our show too, because that's what we try to live by.
And as a doctor, we're so conditioned to pharmaceuticals and the insurance companies, and it's really hard to really get outside the box and tell the truth sometimes.
Right,
so that's
because you gotta, who's buttering your bread?
Yeah, that's right.
Which you shouldn't be eating because it's.
That's why we call it the naked truth about
the
healthcare
naked
and
truth.
wellness
Absolutely.
and lifestyle. So it's just being real. So that's so congruent with our message. So
Perfect.
I love that you turned that down. So yay you. Thank you for doing that. And I know that's not always the easy route, but you took that.
No, it isn't. But I think at the end of the day, when people read it, and I put my story in it, which took twice as long, as you know, you've written a book, and people really relate. And I thought, if my book can change one life, then I've succeeded. And it's done more than that. But I'm grateful just to help at least one person avoid the I paid the $500 nutritionist, and now not only are they more overweight, but we feel horrible inside and more depressed.
It's like one other thing that I tried that didn't work.
Yeah,
Yep,
absolutely.
you get it.
So I'm a little excited to hear about your story, how you met Martha Stewart and how you got to be her personal trainer. That's kind of cool. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, for 16 years, by the way, and I really believe that even though I hated my struggle and couldn't figure out why me, God, I know that that's what actually led me to someone like her, where I was training lots of people in the gym. One of her friends, I did a transformation because you either want to make a change or you don't work with me. I had some more issues I have to work through, by the way, but people saw it. And then she said, will you work with me? And I didn't know who she was in the gym. I knew she was someone because she had an air about her, but I
knew
was
she
young
was
and naive.
Someone,
I
an
like
energy.
That. Yeah.
So I ended up training with her, and I didn't know who she was, so I gave her the spiel how she wasn't giving her car the right gas. And even though she's really healthy, she was gaining weight, she was going through menopause, and it clearly wasn't the right gas. But I actually dove deep into the research of what I call the metabolism Rubik's Cube. You have to just keep turning the things until you figure it out. And I got her in really good shape. And so that changed everything. And I ended up working with her for 16 years and lived to tell about it.
Yes. Oh
Yeah,
my
I've heard she
gosh.
can be a little difficult, but
It's a special little Girl Scout badge right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you
I'm going to go spiritual on you. I used to drive there every day. There were days I loved her, by the way. Fell in love. 16 years was like a marriage. And ended up, like I loved her. And she loved me, but I used to say, like, God, why me? Of all celebrities, because she could be tough. Like, we would argue how there was no sugar. She would argue with me how there was no sugar in fruit. You know, fructose is a sugar, because she was tough that way. She was a problem queen person.
That's how she's
And
successful as she is, I'm sure. It's because
she
a
challenges.
little hard-headed. Yeah.
Yeah. And I happen to have issues on the other side where now I'm what I call holy bold, and I'll give it to you, especially the closer I get to menopause. But before, I would, go to the corner and cry. It would take me 3 days to get myself back up and go. But now I'm grateful for it because I ended up doing her show 60 times.
Wow.
People just loved it. And that's how I ended up on Dr. Oz.
Yeah.
So it all worked out.
And I didn't mean to say,
favor.
that Martha Stewart's a celebrity because you're a celebrity in your own right. But,
No,
I
absolutely.
think that's
Well,
You know what?
thanks to her.
I think you would have done fantastic whether you
Yeah.
met Martha Stewart or
Yeah,
not. But
you
what a
would've.
blessing.
Yeah.
And what a nice little
Well,
trial by
that's
fire.
That's the funniest part, and you know this. Everything I knew before I worked with her, but I'm grateful, and I am known now because of her. And then going on Dr. Oz was tumultuous, but I got a lot of exposure. It allows me to help a lot more people, so I'm very grateful for both experiences. Cannot go wrong. Couldn't have done it without them.
So Dr. Oz gets a lot of flack about, the things that he does. I personally think it's great that he's getting an alternative message out there. What do you feel about him and the show?
I think he deserves to get the flack. I happen to love him, to be honest with you. I love him. But if people pick on Martha, but one thing I can tell you about Martha is if she doesn't think that there's sugar in fruit, she's going to tell you. Dr. Oz, very debonair, suave guy, but he will sell his grandmother to the devil. And it's confusing. No, and I say that because he gets in a lot of trouble behind the scenes because every day there's a new snake oil.
Yeah.
And I loved him from the beginning. I just think, unfortunately, media sometimes takes us down the wrong way and we don't lead with integrity, And so sometimes even the supplement segments that I did on his, they loved me because I'm quite the supplement guru. I'm very conservative. I don't believe in a lot of them, but I do believe the ones that are out there, if used right, they really work.
They do.
And I believe, though, the message is not take this bottle, because I did the raspberry ketones, the miracle in the bottle segment that blew things off the charts. But you've got to discuss people's diets and exercise. And every time I would go on his show, they would say, we're going to talk about this, but we're going to cut the exercise and food segment. And I don't appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. That
Because
makes a lot
I
of
feel like
sense.
we're leading people down the wrong road. And so I actually wrote my book in response to that because I actually had to bring people on to respond to emails and get them not to buy supplements, because not everybody belongs on them. Some people need the diet change first.
So yes, I think there's a point where I enjoy his show because it is out of the box, but it has to be taken with a grain of salt, because it really is another little profit machine for them. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to put the alternative stuff out there and then let people know we are speaking from experience, and we are finding other people who can speak from experience. So you know that there's nuggets of awesomeness in this.
And I love it that you're talking so real, because that's what our viewers or our listeners want is to hear the freaking truth. I mean, it's like, we
don't hold back.
We don't hold back at all. And so
me neither, by the way, because I've sat on the couch depressed, bought that extra bottle of supplements, ate the organic $12 a pound grain, so I had the $12 binge, and that's why I feel it's so important to let people know that they're not alone. We've all been there and made mistakes, and there's strength in numbers when we do that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And it is not a quick fix.
No,
everybody's looking for that raspberry ketone that's going to fix it.
It's just going to magically. And I tell you what, when people look at people like us that are like myself that have been overweight for a long time, and they're like, you just don't have the willpower. I want to go, buddy, I've got willpower like you don't know. I spent a whole week eating nothing but boiled eggs and yogurt.
Have you ever done that?
Have you ever done that? Have you ever done a juice fast for 45 days? You know what I mean? So it isn't that.
That's right.
We're willing to do it and commit. We just need the right information.
So, and then there's the emotional aspect, which I try to make a big point in making, that, you know how they used to say it's not what you're eating, it's what eating you. And I used to be one of those. I wasn't sarcastic, but deep in my head I was like, oh, trust me, it's what's eating me. I would do it backward. Or people would say, when your head goes, your body follows it. And I would kind of in my head think, when my body goes, my head will follow it. And you and I both know there is no shortcut. And you've got to work on the inside in your thinking just as much as you're going to the gym and eating the whole grain breakfast.
Yes. It's all encompassing.
Well, and I tell my patients that stress and the cortisol response from the adrenals is very physiologic, but it's very attached to our emotional stress and then some of the foods that cause things. So it's the whole picture. You can't just do one thing. You have to look at stress. You have to look at nutrition. You have to look at fitness. You have to look at hormones. And we as women, especially into our, again, you look like you're in your 30s, Lisa, but as we get into our 40s and above, I know, right? I love being real. Yeah.
I know.
Better living through chemistry and Botox.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't like to confuse people, but the truth is, when I got really buffed and in shape, I have a picture of myself, and there's a look on my face, like I exceeded my goals. And the look on my face is, I could remember the thought like it was yesterday. It's, oh my gosh, whatever bothered me, whatever stresses I had, they are still there. It wasn't that I was fat and, out of shape. I was still depressed, buffed, and it was time to dig deep and go in and really do some soul searching. And I have to say, while I did learn a lot, one of the best learning experiences I've ever had was a friend you and I have in common, Brian Post, who taught me the word dysregulated. Nobody had ever said to me, I didn't know that I had anxiety underneath, and it was causing me to, not sleep right or overeat. And I just thought I was a bad person, to be honest. We all think in our head. He really helped me because the focus wasn't on me. See stress, what happened to me, because it didn't seem odd to me because everybody in my family reacted that way. So we were all normal.
Yeah, it's just conditioning.
Yes, absolutely.
Our programming.
Oh, God. That's familiar.
And being married to the man has been such a blessing in my life because I had so much programming. And, it's so funny. I tell him every day that the clients that he's worked with, what they would pay to have him live with him every day of your life.
That could be like
and
the
I get
weirdest
that.
reality show ever.
Right.
Like, my therapist lives
that's
with
hard.
me.
You almost can't be. You think you can't be human, which I think like what we're doing and laughing at our humanness is probably the best thing. And I still tell people I fall every day. The only difference is I don't get down on the ground with guilt and shame and beat myself up. My goal is to see how much faster I can get off and brush myself off.
Yeah, that's the power. Yeah, you have those technical difficulties, and I love telling people that I've been I've struggled with things and just all the challenges I've had. I'm real.
Oh,
and you know, when you kind of put yourself up on that pedestal, it's a long ways to fall.
Yeah.
So I think it's just better to be real from the get-go and tell people, you know, I've
and
had my
it
challenges.
makes a difference because we all ultimately want to do good. We want to eat well. We want to do our workout. So why aren't we? And I really believe it all goes back to that. And what people don't realize is eating healthy and exercise is the most regulating thing you could possibly do.
Absolutely. Hey, Lisa, let's talk about 5 things that you can do to boost your metabolism.
Yeah.
And I think those are really exciting, so I want to make sure we get those in.
Yeah, and you know, one of the reasons I actually came up with this, because I used to balk at people who did this, was rule number 1, and everybody and anybody can do this, and that's wake up every morning and have a metabolic boosting shake. And not only does it boost your metabolism and shut the weight gain switch off and turn the weight loss switch on, but also if you are dysregulated from stress and busy, you don't have to think, plan, cook, clean. You just drink and you go.
Yeah,
and so
easy.
While you're learning how to eat for weight loss, you're already beginning to lose weight, and there's nothing more motivating than that.
And you've got recipes in your book, right? The Metabolism Solution is the book.
And, you know, I think it's really important to bring up, too, that not all shakes are created equal. Like I've been doing the Meredith Vieira show lately. I'm helping one of the people on her panel on TV lose weight. So people are out buying shakes. Like, I saw this vegan shake, but it's made with rice. So it's not really a complete protein. And while the label says that it doesn't have carbs, it's nothing but carbs.
Wow.
So if you're one of those people who are storing belly fat and you can't get rid of it, we already know that your insulin levels are high. So that's not going to be a shake that's going to work for you. You really need a complete, purified kind of whey protein.
Okay. And do you have recipes? I didn't explore all of your website last night, but do you have recipes on your website as well, or pretty much just get the book? Okay,
I think
great.
the best recipe when you're trying to lose weight is add the water and the ice, drink and go, or you could add some decaf or some coffee if you want to, because that's delicious.
Okay, awesome.
But keep it simple and don't add fruits or milk, because a lot of people are taking this great-for-you weight loss and adding this other stuff, and it's hitting their insulin levels again.
Wow, yeah. You can't start out with all that sugar in the morning.
No,
it's
I
just
did hear a woman
you.
say,
Right.
you know, these protein shakes are better when I put that strawberry syrup in them. And I was
or ice cream.
No,
crazy.
that's kind of no.
Crazy. Okay, they're
Well,
saying
and that's if we could eat this much fruit, people would laugh at us. But they're pumping and like juicing is backfiring. It's been great for my business, by the way, but people don't realize that when they throw that stuff in a blender and break up the fruit, it changes the structure of it and actually hits our insulin levels, sending our blood sugar flying, as you well know, which is not what we want for weight loss.
No. Hey, Lisa, they're saying it's time for a little commercial break, so let's take a little break and come back, and let's talk about the other things on the 5 things you can do.
Yes, we got to get through
that
list.
Yes.
People go get your pencils.
Yeah, get your
so
pen and
can...
paper. Yeah, write this down.
Excellent.
If you're on the podcast, then you can press pause and take notes. All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Naked Doctor. I'm Dr. Tammy.
And I'm Cryssie.
And we are talking this week with Lisa Lynn,
Oh, she's so
celebrity
cool.
trainer. Yes,
This is exciting.
fabulous stuff. And we are talking about the 5 things you can do to boost your metabolism. And number 1 was start with a smoothie. And you can get recipes on her website and in her book, The Metabolism Solution. And so let's go into number 2. You have eat thermogenically. What does that mean?
Yeah. Before I hop into 2, I just want to say this one life-changing bullet, and that is 12 hours after your last meal, or 10 to 12, is when you should have a smoothie. So if you're one of those, I ate dinner at 8 p.m., don't feel the need to start eating at 4 or 5 a.m. You can wait till 8 a.m. Allow your system to clear, and you know what our bodies are supposed to do when we sleep, and then have the shake.
Oh, okay. Good
That
to
makes
know.
sense.
So,
love it.
yeah, it's a little thing people could do to clean their bodies out and help them lose weight, but it does boost metabolism. Second, eat thermogenically, which, by the way, I love this kind of eating. Well, there's 50,000 methods because it works every time, especially if you're 40, entering, or past menopause. Thermogenic, what is it? Well, it's lean protein fishes, primarily, white fish. The lighter and the whiter the fish, the better for your metabolism, for a lot of reasons. Lower calorie, lower fat, and seafood contains iodine, which helps gently, naturally push the thyroid, which is regulating hormone, helps us lose weight. So it works 10 times better than chicken. So it's not only low calorie, it has some real benefits, not to mention the nutrients and the omega-3s and all the good things like that.
Great. So
that's the protein side. So I have women stop and eat minimal chicken, no red meat for a while when we're trying to get your metabolism boosted, lots of fish, and lots of green vegetables, especially. Not only, but vegetables, and the non-starchy ones. So I try to keep it simple and say, just look at the green and beige. Green vegetables, and let's consider these white fishes beige, if you will, and stay off the other stuff.
What do you think of salmon? Salmon's a little pinker, a little beigeier.
Oh, I love it. But what's happening with women is they're eating too much, and they don't realize a great fish. I think we should all eat it 2 to 3 times per week, but not every day.
Okay. Just not the
It's
more
high
thermogenic.
fat.
Yeah, high fat.
But delicious.
Which is fine once you get to your goal, but when you're really trying to lose, for most people, it's a better alternative than red meat. So I love it. But I think if you're not losing and you're not sure why, you might want to look at it. Am I eating 6 ounces of salmon? Because things that are high fat foods, we're supposed to eat a little bit less of them, and we don't tend to decrease our serving size.
I think so many people out there just think that, as opposed to a cheeseburger, salmon is a much healthier option. But, it's like, oh, well, if I'm going to eat fish, that's their go-to, and they don't think there are any other options. So I love
I would rather than run to salmon. I call them choose the lesser of the evil. So it's never good to avoid a banana and eat a scone. You have to just really think you're going to veer off. And believe me, I've heard all the excuses on the planet, but I would rather see people. But for all those women who are really trying and they're eating clean, sometimes we really don't know what we're doing, and this little bit of education really helps.
Yes. That's awesome. And you have time your meals for faster fat loss. So
this one was life-changing for me.
Yeah.
You and I come from the saying we love food more than, I love food more than my husband. Time your meals.
If I had to choose, honey, I think you would.
I can't live without food. I could live
I'm
without.
not proud of that. It's the truth. But say you start eating at 8 a.m., leave it about the time on the clock. Wait 3 hours before you have your next meal. We are a society who our hunger knocks on the door and we answer it immediately. And our bodies just don't need, especially now that we're past 20, it doesn't need that much food all day unless you're one of the really lucky metabolism ones, high metabolism. Eat every 3 hours, allowing your body to utilize, absorb the nutrients from your last meal. So you would eat at 8, 11, 2. For a lot of compulsive overeaters like myself, what this does, it really has me focus on life instead of what can I eat now. So time them out, and I like to see people start their eating at 8 a.m. and make sure it's done by 8 p.m. the next night. It also takes and just compartmentalizes our eating, where we're a society who just eats whenever we want, however we want. We don't even think about, the car's not leaving the driveway. It doesn't need any gas.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a diet not too long ago that was like just eat when you're hungry, and I thought, wow, that's
For people
maybe
that have difficulty recognizing that hunger signal, that might not be such a good job.
Right.
And
I've done all those diets, by the way. Eat when you're hungry. Have that hour where you can eat whatever you want. None of them work for me.
Yeah. And there's a big movement for, I know Dave Asprey with the Bulletproof Exec and those kinds of things talks about intermittent fasting. And I really think that's fascinating. So you're almost promoting a little bit of intermittent fasting by doing the 8 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Because it really does rev up the metabolic rate. And you and I know above 40, every year our metabolism is taking a step backward due to muscle loss and hormonal changes and 50 other reasons. But so how do we keep pushing that buck forward? It's like an investment. You got to do some sneaky tricks, but much more powerful than people realize. In fact, even when you're not eating perfect, intermittent fasting really works, and it's super good for anti-aging.
Oh, yes. I would think so.
And how do you, thinking of like for leptin resistance and that sort of thing, leptin being the hormone that causes fullness and helps regulate fat. Oh yeah, let's talk about leptin a little bit. But when you're trying to eat according to that, the leptin hormone, most of the experts say that you need like 5 small meals a day. How do you feel about that? So you're doing that intermittent fasting from 8 to 8, but
and intermittent fasting really is great to flip the leptin switch. like proven. So how do you reset your craving driven by your, by the leptin? There's a couple of tricks, and one of them is intermittent fasting. So I'm not against 5 meals a day at all. In fact, you could do that. What I think, though, is if you're not really moving enough and you're not active, your 5 might be 4. Some people's 5 might be 6. So it's such a personal question of figuring out how long you're awake. How long you're really awake. And is the car traveling on the highway at a fast pace so that it needs more gas? Or are you the car that kind of sits in the parking lot and doesn't go that much? You might fare better with 4. There's one way to tell. You got to try them. You got to see how it works. You got to start playing the numbers game. Anything beneath 3 hours in between meals, I find people get all kind of digestive issues that are also driven by eating too frequently, not allowing our body to digest food. So what's the first thing I do is start people on what I call the 2-week test drive. Usually it's about 5 meals spaced about 3 hours apart, and trying it because it resets everything. It flips the hunger switch off.
Did you say chewing test drive?
Yeah, no, on a weight loss test drive. I don't remember exactly what
a weight loss test drive.
I can say 2 weeks.
No,
so literally they go 2 weeks, and it gives them a short-term goal to feel like they could survive that long. And usually they see drastic results, and so they're no longer arguing with me about why they should try that.
Oh, okay.
Now, I did an experiment on myself recently because I realized there were certain times of the day where I felt like I needed a snack. And I've also been trying to reconnect with my hunger signal so I understand it a little bit better and how long it takes for me to feel satiated. So what I did was I took my breakfast and I cut it in half. And I would sit, because I tend to get to my desk and then eat my breakfast. That's my thing.
Yeah, me too.
So I cut everything in half. I ate half my breakfast. Even though I kind of wanted to keep nibbling because it was delicious, but I wrapped up the other half and I put it away. And I'm like, okay, when I'm ready when I feel like I need a snack, I'm going to finish the second half of my breakfast for 2 things. One, I'm going to see if I really am satiated, which I was. And then I haven't increased any of my calories because I've just cut what I was already going to eat in half, and I thought, I am brilliant.
But see, that's an advanced level. Like I'm getting there now where I really listen to my body, and there are some days that maybe I'm really active, I'm traveling, and I'm go, and I need a little more food or more frequent, like that's the 5 meal day. And then if I'm sitting on an airplane for 6 hours, that might be maybe a 4 meal day because I'm not doing anything except sitting, and I've learned to really take my pulse, hit pause. Like you did that beautifully. That is an art.
Oh, thank you.
Our world is so off that now that they're like I have someone now, she's 300 pounds and she's hungry, and I have to say to her with a sense of humor, I don't think so. Don't think that's real hunger. Like, let's back up. Tell me about your week, because stress drives those cortisol hormones up. And it starts, I call it like an arcade game or like a pinball machine, and you pull the ball down, and when you hit it, it goes around. Ding, 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 ding. This is what's happening to our body with stress, and it's setting off all kinds of false signals. You're not hungry at 300 pounds. If you didn't eat, your body could actually dip into fat storage and start pulling fat for fuel, and the hunger goes off.
But when all of your signals have been so messed up, and when you've been fed so much information that sometimes you stand in the grocery store and go, I really don't even know what's healthy and not healthy anymore. You lose touch with all of that. And it's that when you feel that way, you want someone to reach in and tell you how you feel and tell you how to do this but you really have to take that moment where you shift and say, I'm really going to have to learn how to listen to my body. I have lost that connection.
That's right. And I'm not advocating that people sit and starve themselves and punish, but I think, like, I had to have that, and I must have had an angel carrying me. When I had 40 pounds to lose, I used to stand in front of the mirror and obsess about that big wad I could pull off my stomach. If only I could get rid of this. And one day, I was always hungry, by the way. I had stars and I had all the stories. And one day I just remember thinking, not in a harsh, punishing way, which I was doing to myself, in a lighthearted way. I was like, girl, you could go 2 weeks and not eat. You would be fine.
You would be fine. And for the first time,
like, I coasted right over the meal like you did.
Wow. Yeah, that is awesome.
And you proved to yourself that you actually can do it and that you're okay. Once you get to a goal weight, I think if you start dipping too low, because we could play that game both ways.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not losing weight, it's not because you're not eating enough. It's because you're eating too much. You're just not realizing it.
Right. And we talked about the mean girl in your head versus the
Yeah.
nurturing, we can do this together girl in your head.
That's
And
right.
I was, even though I was making good choices there for a while, I had not let go of that mean girl that would stand there
Yeah.
in the mirror and say, oh my God, you're like disgusting, look at that, and do exactly the same thing.
You only
So,
have one. I have a committee, I say, of about 76. You're fat, you're ugly, why bother? Nobody wants to hear what you
I've got a
have to say.
committee.
I
that
don't
likes
have a
to-
mean girl. I have like a team.
You know that crowd, that crowd with
Where I think-
pitchforks that chases Frankenstein. That's what.
Right.
I have an angry mom.
It's the truth,
Oh my
by the way.
God,
a lot
I
of
love
people
this.
have this, but aren't really aware that they're not alone, that everybody has this
Yes.
girl inside them. And that's where I think you have to go spiritual, where what's clicked for me in my head, and that doesn't mean it's true for everybody, is I see myself the way God looks at me, or if you're a parent, the way you look at your kid, and they could get up
Yes.
with bedhead and snot coming out of their nose, and you think they're
You
like the best thing
still
alive.
Yes.
love them. We've had that
Yes.
discussion. That is so beautiful to hear that
So
come out of your
beautiful.
mouth. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's-
And I think if we could start seeing ourselves or connecting with power greater, and I say, I do have, 2 people out of every 100 doesn't want to hear that from me. And I mean, but when you go to charge your cell phone, the battery's dead. If you can't plug that thing into an outlet, let's call that the higher power, how are you going to run that cell phone? Call it whatever you want, but you need some kind of
You need a
system. For me,
charge.
it's God.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about exercising the right way.
Okay.
And I suspect that you're probably going to talk about interval training because there's a lot about hormones and interval
Yes.
training out there in the press.
Yes.
Is that
But
where you're going to go?
not the kind that you see on TV where people are dying and blowing knees out crying. Okay, I don't like that. I love the show and I hate it for 2 reasons. Because it's not that hard. And the truth is, like, I just had a lady today. She did like 3 hours of kickboxing because she was I'm like, why are you punishing yourself?
So stressful
Because
on your
we
body.
think- And by the way, she's driving her hunger levels
Yes.
through the roof. And not aware.
Overtraining.
Yeah, and a lot of people think they're doing better. Well, the truth is, metabolic boosting is 30 minutes. I won't tell you that it's easy, but we take 3 moves and we combine them. So it's not that you do less work. It's really multitasking to
It's
find
efficient. It's
what I call.
efficient work.
Yeah, and working specifically with muscle groups that burn a lot of calories, but also look pretty. Because most women don't want dude syndrome, so we don't need to be
Right.
on the leg press with 10 plates. So it's a specific type of interval training where you're actually giant setting the whole workout. It's like a quick fix. You hit it and you move on. And that's totally separate from the walking. And here's where a lot of people get confused. They kill themselves in a hardcore CrossFit interval style workout. That's one side. It's like, you've got your aerobic system you still have to take care of, and it really thrives better on 10,000 steps a day.
Nice.
So you do your metabolic booster 3 times a week for 30 minutes, but you know this, you're a doctor. We need to be moving that body every day, 10,000 steps, because that's just general maintenance for a body, like brushing our teeth.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
I mean,
Yes.
imagine what the world would be if everybody just did 10,000 steps every day, however they choose to get them.
Right.
And we're meant to be in movement. People are
That's
so
right.
resistant. And exercise is one of the most resistances that I have. So I help my patients, get their hormones balanced, of course. And then we start really having these conversations. But you got to get moving. It's just.
That's
It's
right.
just, yeah,
And
that's how we're put together. So.
Totally. I prefer the treadmill in the morning, and ironically, I only get, and I'm pretty active, I get my 10,000 steps if I get on that treadmill for an hour. And then there's days, like when I was away, I was getting 26,000 a day.
Oh my
Love
gosh,
that. My
yes.
body's the happiest, to be honest, there.
Everybody's a little different. You just have to kind of listen to your body.
Yeah.
Lisa, they're saying it's time for a little commercial break. We'll take just a little break here and come back, and we're going to talk about the 5th thing, which is sleep. And
Yeah.
So everybody hang tight, and we'll be right back.
Awesome.
Oh, I wish I was a doctor who could heal your broken heart. Oh, I wish I was a doctor who could heal your broken heart. Analyze each bruise and hear your story from the start, and stitch up every tiny tear with a
And welcome back to The Naked Doctor. I'm Dr. Tammy.
And I'm Cryssie.
And we have Lisa Lynn this week, celebrity fitness
Oh my
trainer.
gosh, she's awesome.
Awesome. And thanks again, Lisa, for being here. We're going to talk a little bit about our number 5 on our metabolism boosters, sleep, which is huge, especially with the middle age, the menopausal, and your hormones start declining. So sleep is a real struggle. How important is sleep, Lisa?
I think it should be number 1. And whenever I talk about weight loss, I want to come out with it, but people want they want the sexier stuff. But the truth is, this one thing, if people focused on it, and it takes work for people in our day and age, sleeping lean could change so much from, 1, helping them lose weight because it regulates your appetite. 2, you're fighting with depression. You're going to be happier. I personally guarantee that. 3, your sex life might actually improve.
Awesome.
But most importantly, this is how, when our bodies reboot themselves.
Yes.
And if we don't provide that time, and they are actually saying in the research now that 7 is the magical hour, I say you really got to know yourself. But all you guys are out there are going to say, I'm okay at 4.5. I think you need to do a little experiment and try to the 7 and see after a few months how you feel. Because our bodies take 7 minimum to do what they need to do.
Yeah, I don't understand why our society, for some reason, got so crazy and competitive. And there was this thought that sleep was for the weak.
Sleep's for chumps.
Yeah, sleeping's for chumps. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Yeah. And I have personally made that change to make sleep a priority and to make a good quality sleep. And have seen an enormous change in my disposition and how my mornings go specifically.
Exactly. And how do you feel? Even like I do the same thing, and people go, well, how do you do that? Well, sometimes I use that N word called no. And while I don't miss anything, I know now that I feel so much better on 7 good quality, even 6 good quality hours, that it's worth it for me to leave. Like, I'm going to a concert tonight, and one of the guys I train in the band, Chicago, Saturday in the park.
What? Yes.
Saturday.
So we got backstage passes, and the first thing I'm saying is,
awesome.
but that's going to interfere with my
sleep. I'll have to catch up tomorrow.
Yeah, I like to go to bed, and it makes that big of a difference. I say that because it does make that big of a difference. Everything's right where I didn't realize. I went through a real battle with depression. Then I got better. And then when I got my daughter at 15 months, I hit it again, and I paid a lot of money to a therapist, and she said, you are exhausted.
Yeah.
Well, I felt it. I was so dysregulated, I didn't even know it. So I don't think we could stress enough that 7 hours of sleep, and one of the best things you could do, I call it sleep lean, is don't eat for 3 hours before you go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to eat dinner and then roll over.
All that heavy food.
But boy,
and cortisol.
Sometimes when you were cramming all your... Okay, here was my thing, especially when my kids were stealing a lot of my sleep time. I got to where once I put them to bed, I would think, this is the only time that I have that's quiet. And I'm a grown up. I'm going to stay up as late as I want. And then I would be miserable the next day because you're getting some quiet time. But then I realized I need to swap that for health. The quality of my day is so much better when I allow myself to have that time of sleep as opposed to staying up and watching more episodes of something that I...
Well, exactly. I get good feedback from all my clients that go to these sleep studies, and one of the guys said something which I write about in my book, like shut the TV off, don't look at the lights that are stimulating and changing our circadian rhythms, which are changing our hormones. And so I literally, I try to watch with one eye. There's a few shows, but now I put my big girl panties on and I say, you know what? Shut it off. If it really calls you tomorrow, I don't even remember what I was watching, but I've gotten better sleep that way, and I fall asleep immediately. So the thing is, it's keeping us up, and I used to break all the rules, say popcorn in bed, and I realized that was keeping me up because I had to finish the bag.
And put up the stupid cell phone. I mean, even just the signals coming in. The vibration is probably stimulating your theta waves, or I don't know. Something's going on with that. Yeah. But just the beeps, and even if you put it on vibrate, just that little bit of vibrate sometimes can disrupt you.
Yeah. And what we're talking about, actually, this one thing is probably the most profound and powerful anything. Like, what's the one thing people could do to lose weight, improve their health, be happier, improve their sex life, change everything, make more money? deal with the sleep issue, and it matters for, you said it, it's going to take willpower to shut that phone off, to not see the ending of a program. I say to people, I don't care if Tom Cruise calls past 8, I cannot pick up the phone because it stimulates me.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And for those menopausal women and for men that start having their testosterone decline, and find somebody, I do bioidentical hormones, and I tell my patients progesterone is huge with women with sleep. And if you don't have that, seek someone out that can help you get that balance back. That's so important.
Right.
Well, it's kind of a circle because my sleep patterns got better when I started insisting that I needed more sleep. That's weird.
Yeah.
When I was doing not enough sleep, my sleep was very fitful, and I would sometimes wake up at 4 and not be able to go back to sleep. Now that I have set a bedtime and I make sure that my process happens, my bedtime happens, I'll wake up in the same position that I fell asleep in. That's unheard of.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I'm glad you bring that up, because what people don't realize, because a lot of people, like we all do, it's the only time we can get peace and quiet in our lives, so we stay up late, but you cannot sleep in to make up for it. Our bodies don't work like that. It's the best sleep is the one, they say, from 10 to 6.
Yeah,
Should be
it's
ideal.
an adrenal circadian rhythm, chemical, hormonal, and it's attached to the moon.
Yes.
So it's like you can't fight that. It is global. It is bigger than us. Even the waves in the ocean are hooked into that.
Some powerful things too about, so when you're not sleeping, or I have a pretty active household. What I realized, I had to go out of my way to find that quiet time for me. And if it meant I had to go, I call my car the war room, or, which is the prayer room. Go take a ride. Go sit by the water and find 45 minutes with no one asking you questions. Seek it out in other ways instead of staying up late. And also, to all you women who think that, when you get into your prime of your life, that your stuff isn't working anymore, try to sleep, because it might take a month or 2 or even 90 days if you're that out of bounds. But ironically, this stuff starts working again. You're like, oh, so it is still working.
Yeah.
And you don't know when to get your body regulated.
And I tell my patients, that show The Biggest Loser, where they're like in that ranch in Malibu and they're losing weight. What they don't show you is behind the scenes. They're like pre-participation medical physicals. They evaluate them for their sleep quality and sleep studies.
Yep.
And especially if you're very overweight or have a large neck, and you've got like that, what they call 17-inch circumference, you have a really, really high risk of having sleep apnea. So getting evaluated for that, because they know that those people are not going to lose weight if they have undiagnosed sleep disorders. And when you lose the weight, you probably don't have the apnea anymore. But one of the best indicators that I tell people is if you snore, that's not normal, that's pathologic. And so that means you've got obstruction and disruption. And if you wake up tired, that's a good indicator that you've not got good metabolism resetting, oxygenation,
right?
sleep.
Or if you fall asleep every time you sit still for 2 minutes, because I've seen
That's
people that do that.
Yeah.
They can't get through a conversation without nodding off. It's like,
Yeah.
honey, you're not sleeping.
Well, Lisa, go ahead.
And you're right when you said something about bioidentical hormones. I really dive into this big with my clients, because you said it. They will not lose weight no matter how hard you try, whether it's flipping their switch and they're eating off because they're exhausted, or it's throwing their hormones out of whack. That figuring out the why underneath. Sometimes they're overweight, so they snore with sleep apnea. But if your hormones, as we all know, like I have one day before I get my period where I could be exhausted and I don't sleep. Mm-hmm. And I know it comes and goes and passes, and I make up for it, the next night. But if you're getting that repeatedly, you're right. You've got to go get those bioidentical hormones and treat it. It changes everything.
Yeah, thyroid. Look at all those pieces. Very important.
Or melatonin is probably one of the best kept secrets. And
Melatonin. I love melatonin.
Yeah, stay away from
why
this.
People don't use this is beyond me. They'll run, God forbid, but they go get the sleep, even prescriptions, which are horrible for the metabolism.
Yes.
So find a solution.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people don't dose their melatonin high enough. Like usually it's about 15 milligrams for most people, and they sell it 3 milligrams over the counter.
I know.
So.
And the quality is awful, by the way. Like I ended up making my own, because when I would test the stuff, anything I gave to Martha Stewart, I had to have tested, and the labs would say, we don't even know what this ingredient is. That's how scarce it is, like when you're buying commercial.
Gosh.
And so I literally called my guru, a doctor, and said, what do I do? He's like, well, if you want great vegetables, organic, you got to grow them yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't set out to create a line to make it big. I set out to solve a problem. And when the quality is there, like people who say melatonin doesn't work, you nailed it. They're not taking enough, so the quality's not there.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably
Or they're doing it wrong. They're taking the
That's
melatonin,
right.
then they're running around watching a movie and playing on their phone.
Yeah.
That is not how melatonin works. And I've had to
No.
say that before. You got to close your eyes and tell your body it's time to sleep.
That's right.
that's
You got to work
crazy.
with it.
Oh, they're calling time on us, Lisa. Thank you so much for being here
This
this
has been
week.
great.
How can people?
Oh, thanks. You girls rock. They can find me at lynfit.com. I'm always happy to answer questions and do this with you anytime.
Oh, awesome. Yes, please come back. I have so much more that we can pick
Yes,
your brain
no, we
about.
can
I
keep
just
going on
love
this one.
this.
Same
Love
here.
this. And your book is on Amazon, The Metabolism Solution by
Yes.
Lisa Lynn,
Yes.
right?
Yes, it's
Okay.
at Amazon,
Amazon.
as well as my website. And it's pretty much a workout and lifestyle Bible. I go into everything we discussed in detail.
Fabulous. Get the book for sure. All right, darling. Thank you so much for being here this week. And everyone have a blessed week.
Yes,
and we'll see
be
you
good
back
to
here.
yourself.
You too.
Be good to
Bye-bye.
yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.